Hey guys, Jared Glover with Glover Customs, and I have a super awesome truck here today. '27 Ram SRT TRX, 777 horsepower, fresh out of the shop. Addictive Desert Designs bumper, bomber bumper. We'll talk more about that in a second. That's been a really fun process, and I'll kind of bring you up to speed on how this came to be and what's next from Addictive Desert Designs, because this right now is kind of a one-off, and I'll explain that in a second. So for the lift, we use the Eibach Pro lift springs, and this is the 2.7-inch front and the 1.6-inch rear. So when we do this, and if you've done any research online, the bigger lift springs can cause some issues with the StabiliTrak in the truck. So we actually have a relocation, like a linkage, to relocate it to make sure that the sensor itself still remains level to where all the other StabiliTrak functions work just like it was stock. 22 by 10 Vossen wheels. So the good benefit of going with the little bit extra lift is you can fit a 10-inch wide wheel and really give the truck a better stance. So I think it's a -18 offset, 37-inch Toyo. This is the new RT Trail Open Country that we've been using quite a bit. Amp Research XL power steps. So we've done the Mopar steps a lot, and they're great too, but for this truck, we kind of wanted something a little beefier, so we went with the Amp XLs. And then out back, no bumper for this truck. We have plans to test fit the ADD bomber bumper from the RHO. They were just 8 to 10 weeks out, so we couldn't get our hands on one yet. When it arrives, well, we'll talk about that in a second, because it's probably actually going to end up getting test fit on my orange truck that is going out to Phoenix at the end of September. So when we get back up front, I'll kind of explain how that's going to work. Of course, power tailgate, TRX and RHO level 1 have that. And then this is that backflip revolver. We've been using this a lot just because I love it. You know, the tri-fold backflip is fantastic, but this just makes it to where you really can utilize it in any position on the bed. So if we come back up front, we'll check out and talk a little bit about the bumper. So this is actually the 4-light bomber bumper from Addictive Desert Designs, and this is the RHO bumper. So I met the guys at ADD 12 or 13 years ago. We actually were talking about that and looking at old photos, but we built our very first SEMA Colorado was a Z71. Not long after that, we built a ZR2. We were blessed to collaborate with them for my first TRX in 2021, and that went out to SEMA. That became our Indominus TRX. And then we actually had a couple of a 3/4 ton Ram that went the following year. But I called them when TRX first came out, and I said, hey, can we try something? So when the order banks opened, the very first truck we ordered was my truck. It's Spitfire orange. It's not built yet, but it is set to drop ship out to Phoenix to go straight to ADD. It's going to ship September 29th, hopefully get to them by mid-October, and that's going to kind of be their truck that they take all of their laser measurements off of and design the rest of their products. The rear bumper is going to get test fit. The other designs of the front bumper will get test fit. That's what they'll use for the photos for their website when they launch the TRX products, and so on and so forth. But then we got a pre-spec truck. So Ram dropped a lot of black TRXs on dealers around the country that were already built. This truck arrived with 50 miles on it. So I think they just did quality control with these pre-spec trucks, and when they passed, they shipped them out to the dealers. So these were already built. They're outrunning the first round of sold orders, and this truck arrived at the end of last week. We had everything ready to go. So I called ADD and said, hey, I have an idea. What if we took the current RHO, because we believed completely that the RHO and the TRX were the same exact truck with different engines. When you go to order one, it's the same body model code. What changes is the C-post, is what Stellantis calls it, is the actual trim level of the truck. So it's a 2027 Ram 1500 RHO/TRX is the body model. So I thought, hey, the bumper should work. Well, when we got it here, we fit everything up. We pulled the bumper off. We pulled some measurements. This was last Friday. We were 99% certain it was going to work. By the end of the day, Monday, we realized that it wasn't perfect. The difference was actually in the bottom of this skid plate. We had to make some adjustments, and everything is perfect. This truck is perfect now that we've made it all work, but the bumper fit up just fine. The frame towards where the suspension, the lower control arm, it actually sits 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch lower than the RHO. So we got to wondering, okay, why? Well, we crawled under the truck, we found the part number of the frame, and it does in fact have a different part number of frame than the RHO. We cross-referenced the 2027 RHO to see maybe they just changed the frame between 26 and 27, but they didn't. The 2026 RHO has the same part number frame as the 2027 RHO. The TRX just has a different frame. So don't know why, but that's what they did. The TRX has its own frame, probably for motor mounts and everything else. And I'm assuming just through changes to allow for the engine, something changed along the way for exactly where the bumper mounts. And again, it was off by like 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. It was very, very nominal. The truck's perfect. But that's just to say that ADD is not yet going to release the TRX bumpers. That will happen probably in a few months once they get my truck down there. They do all of their test fit and they actually launch the official TRX product. So it's going to be pretty cool. Can't wait to see what they come up with. This truck turned out absolutely sick, and I hope you guys like it. Hey, if you have any questions for me, reach out to jglover@jimglover.com. If you have any questions for Glover Customs, you can reach Mike at glovercustoms.com. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.